In the name of Allah. Hello. In this clip, you will get to know some of the tourist areas of Uzbekistan. Also, don't forget to like and follow to support me. Uzbekistan is a beautiful country in Central Asia with a rich cultural heritage and a long history. Samarkand, Highway of Cultures, is the nickname given to this UNESCO-listed city. Samarkand reminds you of images of the ancient times that you have only seen in photos, movies, and legends. However, it is not a myth. Today Samarkand is a vibrant city that has preserved its traditions. Archaeological excavations show a history that dates back to 3,500 years ago. Afrasiab region in Samarkand was established in the 7th century BC and tells about the antiquity of the city. Conquered by Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan, the city was the luxurious capital of the Timurid Empire and played an important role in the development of Islamic architecture and arts. Ulugh Observatory. The first place I suggest you to see in Samarkand is Ulugh Observatory. This historical place was built by the great astronomer, Alak Bey Amir Temuri. It is interesting to know that Alak Bey's mother was Gohurshad Aga, who built the Gohurshad Mosque in Mashhad, and his father Shahrukh was also the son of Timur, one of the kings of Iran. According to many experts, this observatory is one of the best observatories in the Islamic world and the largest in Central Asia. Ulugh conducted research in this observatory along with the greatest astronomers of that time, including Ghazizadeh Rumi, Ghiyasuddin Jamshid Kashani and Ali Kashchi. Alak Bey Samarkand Observatory was designed as a circle so that its main axes are located on the Samarkand Peninsula in 4 geographical directions. In this observatory, a protractor has been considered for starting external angles. This tool is generally a circular shape and has a radius of 40 meters and 212 centimeters. The length of this bow reaches 63 meters. If you are interested in astronomy, Ulugh Observatory is one of the best places to visit in Uzbekistan. Registan Field. If we want to name the footprints of Iran that have remained in Uzbekistan, we should definitely mention Registan Square. Registan Square is the heart of Samarkand city and one of the most magnificent places to visit in Uzbekistan. The unique Iranian architecture of the buildings around this square was later used in famous buildings such as the Taj Mahal in India, the St. Petersburg Mosque in Russia, and Nakhchirevan Square in Isfahan. In the past centuries, Samarkand was one of the most important cities in the east of the world and very noisy, and Registan Square was no exception to this rule, and it has always been a place for people to gather for shopping and holding public celebrations. One of the most important reasons why Samarkand was registered in the UNESCO World Heritage List in 2001, the existence of this square and unique schools around it. Each of the 3 famous schools of Ulugh Bey, Shurdar, and Talakari has its own unique architecture, and the entrance of all 3 of them is towards Registan Square. Samarkand Bibi Khanum Mosque. This monument was built as a memorial to Bibi Khanum, the wife of Timur Gorkani, and by the order of Timur about 600 years ago. Bibi Khanum or Bibi Khatun Mosque, which is located in the east of Registan Square, was one of the largest mosques in the world in its time. After his campaign to India, Timur decided to build a mosque in Samarkand in memory of his wife. The main entrance of this building with a height of 35 meters is one of the most attractive things you will see on your trip to Uzbekistan. A large marble Quran is located in the heart of this mosque and has given it a beautiful appearance. The mosque was built in 5 years by great Iranian and Indian architects. But Timur was not satisfied with the progress of the construction of the mosque, and after the completion of the building, he quickly made various changes, especially in the main dome. The height of this dome reaches 40 meters. Bibi Khanum Mosque attracts many tourists to Registan Square every year and is one of the eye-catching attractions of this old city. Amir's Tomb, Timur's Mausoleum. The tomb of Timur Gorkani, the founder of the Timur dynasty, is one of the other sites of Uzbekistan in the city of Samarkand. As I explained, Timur was very fond of campaigning and conquering different countries and named Genghis the Mongol as his role model. Although Timur was a violent king and fond of killing, it has a special place among the people of Uzbekistan. The architecture of this building is Azari style and it was built by the famous Iranian architect Abdul Zarif Mohammed bin Mahmud Esfahani. Amir's tomb, which was built in 807 AH, is actually the most famous work in the architectural treasure of Samarkand city. The delicate Iranian tiles of Amir's tomb have doubled the beauty of this building, and the blue dome of its building is actually the most important symbol of Uzbekistan. Bokhara. Bokhara is one of the largest cities in Uzbekistan and one of the most beautiful. This city has been an important base for theology and Islamic sciences for several centuries. UNESCO presents Bokhara as a typical medieval city, which has a well-preserved city center. Urban, economic and scientific development in Bokhara had a significant impact on the Islamic world in the Middle Ages. The oldest building in the city is the architecture of Ismail Samani's tomb, which dates back to the 10th century AD. This place was the largest Islamic center for studying and learning Sufism until 7 centuries later. And because it was under the soil until a few decades ago, it has not suffered much damage. As you know, Uzbekistan has been a part of Iran for a part of history. Abu Ali Sina, an Iranian physician and scientist, was born and raised near Bokhara. Kalyan Minaret. I suggest that the first place you see in Bokhara is Kalyan Minaret. In the minaret there is a brick spiral staircase that goes around a column. The base of the tower has narrow decorative strings made of bricks and placed straight or diagonally. In the minaret you will see inscriptions written with blue glaze. Kalyan Minaret is the symbol of Bokhara city. This minaret was once the tallest minaret in Central Asia. This building is located in the eastern part of Bokhara and was built around the 12th century during the time of Al-Afrasiab. At first, the call to prayer was said 5 times a day in this minaret. But later its use was changed and it was used as a lantern to show the way to Bokhara to caravans and travelers. About 100 years after its construction, the tower's architecture impressed Genghis Khan so much that he protected it even though everything around the tower was destroyed by his men. Kulyan Minaret is also known as Death Tower, because until the late 20th century, criminals were executed by being thrown from its top. This tower was later used for surveillance and close monitoring of enemy movements. Shahar Minar School. 4 small photogenic minarets in the maze of alleys between Pushkin and Hoja-Norabad are the most similar to Indian architecture among the buildings of Bokhara city. This building is actually an old school that was built in 1807. Although the name of this building is 4 minarets, in fact its towers are not minarets and are decorative. You can climb on the roof of the building and see the attractive minarets up close. The souvenir stalls in front of the building sell some interesting Soviet-era souvenirs and black and white photographs of pre-Soviet Bokhara. Tashkent. A perfectly balanced combination of modern metropolises and a unique oriental flavor awaits you in Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan and the largest metropolis in Central Asia. Tashkent was the capital of the Communist Republic for 60 years, which significantly contributed to the city's economic and social development. But the Bolsheviks were not kind and generous towards the religious architecture of the city and tried to build their own monuments during the Soviet Union. The sites of Tashkent have suffered more damage than Bokhara and Samarkand. But the works that were spared from the hands of the Bolsheviks are among the most beautiful sites in Uzbekistan. Amir Timur Square. The history of the field in the center of Tashkent, named after Amir Timur, the commander and founder of a huge medieval empire, began in the early 19th century, when Tashkent was the military command center of Turkestan, which formed the Russian Empire. This is according to the order of General M. Chernihiv was founded in 1882. This statue has a strange history. For the first time in 1882, the statue of General Kaufman was placed in the square, which was called Constantine Square at that time, and then the statue of Stalin and then the statue of Karl Marx were placed in this square. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, a bronze statue of Amir Timur sitting on a purebred horse was placed in the center of the Maidan, which has not been changed until now. There is also an inscription in the square, on which Ilkham Jabarov, the creator, wrote the famous slogan of Amir Timur, "Power and Justice in 4 languages of the world." There are many historical monuments around Amir Timur Square, including Amir Timur Museum, Uzbekistan Hotel, Forum Palace, Clock Building. Japanese Garden. One of the most dreamy places to visit in Uzbekistan is the Japanese Garden of Tashkent. The Japanese Garden is a special park. In this park, you can feel the beauty, soul, depth, and authenticity of Japanese culture. Also, in this garden you have the opportunity to learn philosophy, way of thinking and a different system of values. If you go to the Japanese garden, be sure to try the delicious brewed green tea there. Relax on the bench and enjoy the peace and pleasant air of the garden. Barak Khan School. Barak Khan School is located at the western end of Hast Imam Square, or Imam's Desire, in the heart of Old Tashkent. This school, which is one of the most spectacular sites in Uzbekistan, it was built in the 16th century by the order of Nawroz Ahmad Khan, the ruler of Tashkent at the time. The reign of Nawroz Ahmad Khan was so auspicious and good for the people of Tashkent that this school was named Barak Khan in memory of that era. Barak means lucky in Uzbek language. At that time, Barak Khan School had become a place for the spiritual administration of Central Asian Muslims. The library rich in manuscripts of this school is also worth seeing, especially when you know that a Quran attributed to Uthman, Sunni Caliph of religions, is kept there. Some believe that Uthman was killed while reading this Quran, and the blood stains are still on the pages of this Quran, which is made of deer skin. Palace of Prince Romanov. So far, every building and palace I talked about in Uzbekistan had Islamic and Iranian architecture. The Romanov Palace is different from other buildings in Uzbekistan. This palace was built in 1891 in the center of Tashkent. The palace is a modern building where the Russian Prince Nikolai Konstantinovich Romanov stayed in this palace during the rule of the Russians in Uzbekistan. The Romanov Palace is a building with small ornate windows and beautiful trees surrounding the palace. Tashkent Independence Square. Probably the first place you will see on your trip to Uzbekistan and Tashkent is Istiqlal Square. The largest square in Tashkent is more like a big park than a square. With several historical monuments and fountains, surrounded by impressive public buildings and full of trees and flowers, Tashkent's Independence Square is a showcase of modern Uzbekistan. Tashkent's Independence Square was called Red Square before the independence of Uzbekistan in 1992, and Lenin's statue was in the center of the square. Since then, a statue of an Uzbek mother and child has taken Lenin's place, and on top of it is a golden globe with a map of Uzbekistan engraved on it. This collection represents the revival of Uzbekistan as a free independent country. Ikan Castle, Ikan Kala, Kava. Ikan Castle is one of the most unique sites of Uzbekistan and the city of Kava. Kava is not as old as Samarkand and Bokhara, but it is still one of the most valuable cities in Uzbekistan to visit. This fort is one of the buildings registered in the UNESCO heritage, and it is well protected. This old castle contains more than 50 historical monuments and 250 old houses, which are mostly from the 18th or 19th century. One of these historical monuments is Jame Mosque, which was established in the 10th century and was renovated and repaired between 1788 and 1789. One of the most spectacular features of Ikan Castle is its brick walls with small congresses and 4 gates located on each side of the rectangular castle. Although its foundations are believed to have been laid in the 10th century, the present-day walls, which reach a height of 10 meters, 33 feet, were erected in the late 17th century and later repaired. Kode Arkan Kokand Palace. Kode Arkan Palace is so big and beautiful that it is known as the Wonderful City. This palace was built on the ruins of the previous citadel between 1863 and 1875 AD by the last Khan Kokand. The tiling of the exterior and interior of the palace along with mirrors and colored glass are among the beauties of this historical palace. In the past, this palace had 114 rooms and 7 courtyards. But today, if you want to visit the museum, you can only visit 19 renovated rooms and 4 courtyards. Architects from Kokand and Bokhara came together to rebuild this complex building and are busy rebuilding it. On your trip to Uzbekistan, be sure to visit the historical city of Kokand and this exceptional palace, which is one of the most attractive places to visit in Uzbekistan. Tomb of Shah Zinda. Aramaga Shah Zinda is the name of a cemetery in the northeast of Samarkand. The name of the tomb refers to Ghatsam bin Abbas, the cousin of Prophet Muhammad, the one who brought Islam to this region in the 7th century AD. The tomb of Shah Zinda includes several tombs and religious buildings dating back to the 9th to 14th and 19th centuries, respectively. Mausoleum of Bahauddin Naqshband. The Mausoleum of Bahauddin Naqshband is located in the city of Bokhara. The Naqshbandi complex is a collection of buildings that are located around the tomb of Sheikh Bahauddin Naqshbandi, the head of the Naqshbandi Sufi dynasty, and from the point of view of architecture and decorations, it is one of the prominent buildings. This complex is located in Arifan Palace, 12 kilometers from Bokhara, and has evolved over 2 to 3 centuries. Muhammad Bahauddin Naqshband Bokhara was the founder of the Naqshbandi Tariqat dynasty. He was born in Muharram 718 in Arifan Palace of Bokhara. Tomb of the Samanids. The tomb of Ismail Samani in the city of Bokhara is one of the most famous sites in Uzbekistan. The construction of this building lasted from 271 to 322 solar years. The tomb of the Samanids was under the ground until the last few decades, and for this reason, it has not been damaged much over time. This tomb is the oldest Muslim monument in the city and is one of the most interesting in terms of architecture. In the construction of this tomb, the architecture of the Reza style was modeled and its brickwork has a very beautiful complexity. And its style is very similar to Sassanid fire temples. Its intricate brickwork hides walls almost 2 meters thick, helping it to survive 11 centuries without restoration, except for the spiked dome. If you have 8 minutes to spare, ride the carousel near the mausoleum and see the magnificence of the mausoleum from above. Hazliabi, Lip of Haz. Labhaz is a square that was built in 1620 around a pond in Bokhara by a person named Divan Begi. This place can be the most peaceful and cozy place in the city. The shade of the mulberry trees covers the entire surface of the pond. At the edge of the pond, you can see old Uzbek men playing chess with drinks in their hands. Although you can see the large number of tourists in this place, Liabi Pond has still preserved its traditional texture. Until a century ago, there were about 200 canals and ponds in Bokhara. People drank from it, washed and even used it as a bath. Because these waters were stagnant, Many diseases were transmitted in this way. It is known that the average age in Bokhara in the 19th century was 32 years. Until the Bolsheviks emptied the ponds, and only a few ponds remain from that time. I recommend that you go to the edge of the pond on your trip to Bokhara and enjoy the coolness and peace there under the shade of trees.